ahead of time that we will do a modular approach this year. So instead of sitting down with you the whole day, we will take about an hour or two for each session so that we'll be able to cover everything. And this will run for a series of 11 training sessions. So today will be the start of the very basic of eligibility entering the fund. So I'll give you guys a brief introduction on the various member organizations that we have, the key figures, some basic definitions, and then factors in determining eligibility, eligibility scenarios, and the assigning of what we call unique ID via HR interface. So some social agreements before we start. You may ask any question, just click the hand button to raise your hand and we'll try to answer all the questions that we can. And then just in case, we will be logging all the questions and recording this as well and create an FAQ. After this, we will share it with everybody, and the video of this training will also be uploaded in the website so that you can access it or share it with the staff in your organization. So again, welcome everyone to today's training. So just an introduction, we have 24 member organizations right now with UNPF umbrella. So actually, it's going to be 25 by next year, subject to approval by the GA. So the 24 organizations right now are actually represented in this training series that we will be running. So here are some key figures for everyone to know that the UNJSPF has over 131,000 participants worldwide, and the fund pays 79,975 periodic benefits. So you can see from this chart the increase in terms of number of participants and the increase in number of periodic benefits awarded. So some basic definitions to start off. So we're going to start with a very basic. So as you can see, once you become a participant, contributions are automatically deducted from your salary. So each one of us has a PR, what we call PR rate. So from this PR rate, from your salary, automatic deduction of 7.9% will be removed from your salaries. And this is not an option. The moment you become a member of the fund, this is automatic. Your organization will contribute twice as much as your contribution of 15.8% of your PR rate, and the total would be 23.7%, and this will be reported to UNJSPF. So you have no choice, and this will no longer be an option on your part. The moment you become a member of the fund, 7.9% of your PR rate is automatically deducted from your salary. So here are some basic definitions for everyone. So some basic definitions, we have what we call BCS date. So when you hear the acronym BCS, that stands for Beginning Contributory Service. Beginning Contributory Service means it's the day that you start paying contribution to the fund. So it's the start where they start deducting from your payroll, from your salaries, the 7.9%. So the DOE is what we call date of entry. So the date of entry is the date when you officially become a member of the fund. The two dates can be different. Most of the time, they're the same. The reason why they can be different is when we have what we call contributory service purchase, such as validation, restoration, and transfer in agreements. So we have what we call CS. This is what we call contributory service. Contributory service, it will accrue to a participant in pay status. So this is the contributory service that you've been paying into the fund. So we have what we call PF4 or PENS E4. This is the separation notification. We have 3 mandatory documents from organizations before we process a separation. And that is separation notification, separation PA, and the payment instruction of a participant. So the separation notification is a mandatory document. So we have what we call SEPA. It stands for Separation Personnel Action Form. So as I've said, this is also another mandatory document as we process the separation of a participant. So we have what we call COB. that is close of business, or what we call separation date. So the moment when we say close of business, that means you're no longer part of any organization. That is the last day of that service with that organization. So we have what we call UID, and that's the unique ID. It's a 9-digit unique identification number assigned to each participant. Each participant should only have one unique ID. They may have multiple part accounts, or what we call pension number. One person can only have one unique ID. So when we say part account, this is equivalent to your pension number. So when we say pension number, we used to call it pension number in the old system that we had, COPENSIS, but right now the terminology that we use in the new system is part account. But part account is equivalent to your pension number. The part account houses all your contributions, or all the contributions reported by the organization. So these are just some basic definition before we get started. So what is the definition of a normal retirement age? So a normal retirement age is actually defined by the date of entry of a participant. So the age of a participant, this is the time when you can draw your pension without any reduction factor. When we say reduction factor, these are like percentages that we remove from your standard rate. We will get into that once we get into the discussion of Article 28 and 29. But this is just simply to let you know that a normal retirement age, this is when you can withdraw your benefit without any reduction factor. So age when a staff member is entitled at NRA, this age is based on the rules and regulation of the fund. And as I've said, this is based on your date of entry. So right now, this is the table of retirement age, normal retirement age, and early retirement age. So as per Article 1N, normal retirement age, if a person enters the fund prior to January 1, 1990, the normal retirement age is 60 years old. So at this time, at your age of 60, without any penalties. And then you have on or after January 1, 1990, your retirement age is 62. So you can get your retirement without any penalties at age of 62. So for those who enter the fund on or after January 1, 2014, the normal retirement age is 65. So for early retirement age, as per Article 29, we have retirement age 55 for people who entered prior to January 1, 1990. And for those on or after January 1, 1990, this will become 55 as well. For those 2014, this will be 58. So basically, these are some basic definition as you enter the fund. So here, important note on retirement age. So retirement age is based on the date of entry of a participant, not on the BCS date. The BCS date may be adjusted by CS purchase. So as I've said earlier, the BCS date and date of entry, usually these are the same dates as you enter the fund. However, your BCS date may be adjusted when you purchase what we call validation or restoration or transfer in. So there is, we will discuss validation, restoration, transfer in deeper on participation 3 training. So, but basically, we will adjust the CS purchase once a participant validates or restores. The BCS date gets adjusted, but that does not define the normal retirement age. The normal retirement age is still at the date of entry of a participant. So here, what is the mandatory age of separation? The organizations, the Common System has moved the retirement age to 65. So for us, it does not matter whether the move was at 65. The fund still acknowledges Article 1N, and that is based on the 60, 62, 65. So even if the Common System moved the retirement age to 65, it will not affect your normal retirement age with the fund. We still based it as per Article 1N. So that means even if the mandatory age of 60, the mandatory age has been moved to 65, so but you are eligible for retirement at 62, you can retire at 62 without any reduction factor. So what are the factors in determining eligibility? So in terms of determining eligibility, these are the things that the fund looks at. The length of contract in accordance to Article 21. The participation is not expressly excluded by the terms of staff members' appointment. We also look at category because there are certain categories that are excluded to be in the fund. And then we have changes during employment such as break-in service, especially without pay, and of course, part-time percentage. So as per Article 21 of the fund, so basically we look at two things. If a person's contract is 6 months or more, or if a participant's contract is 6 months continuous without a break-in service of more than 30 days. So we take whichever comes earlier. So categories, I've listed some of the categories, sample categories that may be eligible and not eligible. So I've enumerated it here. So for example, a translator, they are not considered to be eligible to be in the fund. A revisor is not considered to be eligible to enter the fund. However, these categories with yes, these are the categories that are eligible to enter the fund, as long as they meet the criteria of Article 21. So these are the eligibility based for JPO. So usually these are for UN families. So people who are on the P1 or P2 grade level, there is what we call JPO, Junior Professional Officers, and their eligibility is based on their nationality and the agreement based on the member organization. So in this chart, you will see some people will be eligible, some people will not be eligible. So for example, I am a JPO from Finland and I work for UNICEF. Looking at this chart, I am eligible to be in the fund as long as I also comply with Article 21. However, if I am Australian and I am from my member organization is UNICEF, Belgian, and my member organization is UNICEF, you will see in the chart it is no. So that means that I am not eligible to be in the fund. So here, there are changes during employment that we need to know. So we actually recommend that all the HR people promptly report all changes to the status of a staff member, whether it be a special leave without pay, whether it be a break-in service, a part-time status change, any employment changes, marriages, children, divorce, be reported in your status report, in your personal action form, and the interface. So this will allow us to make sure that the records in the fund are updated and are properly updated in our records. This will have an impact in a participant's estimate, will also have an impact in the annual statements of the participants if they are not properly reported to the fund. So break-in service, so the terminology BIS stands for break-in service, SLWOP is special leave without pay. So break-in service, this is when a staff member is not employed. So meaning you are not connected to any organization. They have issued a separation notification, a SEPA, you're no longer under anyone's payroll. So you're not part of any organization. So as per Article 21A, upon completing in the same or more than one member organization, 6 months of service without an interruption of more than 30 days. So the moment you have an interruption of more than 30 days, you are considered to be out of the fund. So the moment you re-enter the fund, you have to re-qualify as per Article 21. So Article 21B states, except that participation shall not be deemed to have ceased where a participant resumes contributory service with a member organization within 36 months after separation without a benefit having been paid. So right now, I'm sure some people are aware of what we call Article 32. Article 32 allows a participant to think of what they want to do with their benefit for a period of 36 months. Some people would like to opt for Article 32, deferred benefit, the deferral of their benefit, because they want to think about it. They still are not aware of what benefit option to choose, or some of them feel that they might rejoin an organization or transfer to a different organization. So every person has 36 months. Every fund member has 36 months to decide what to do with their pension, whether they want it to be paid out, whether they want it to be, they will come back later on. So that is an option for them. They have 36 months from time of separation. So here, break in service. If the break in service is less than 36 months and no benefit has been paid out, the participation continues. If a participant comes back and qualifies under Article 21, participation continues. The participant retains the same UID and pension number. We don't issue a new UID every time a person separates, gets paid. The UID is retained for each participant, technically for life, because you have only one UID your entire participation in the fund. However, for pension number, the pension number, you may have multiple. If a pension number has been paid out, that pension number closes down, and we issue a new one every time you enter the fund. So here, the participant retains same UID and pension number because the benefit was not paid out. So there was a break, yes, participants separated, and then participant, for example, comes back eligible as per Article 21, no benefit has been paid, the UID is retained, and the pension number is retained as well. If it is more than 36 months, if the break in service is more than 36 months, or a payment has been paid out, your participation automatically ceases. So even if you come back, again, as I've said, it's the same UID. So it's the same unique ID, it's retained. However, we will issue you a new pension number, and a new pension number will be assigned to start receiving contributions under this new participation. However, your previous number, if it is eligible as per Article 24, it is possible to be restored. And when we restore, your date of entry remains the same, but your BCS date may be adjusted because of the restoration. So any break-in service period cannot be made contributory because the staff member is not employed. So anytime that you're on a break, and you cannot validate that period, you cannot make that period contributory. The moment you're not connected with any organization, this cannot be paid and converted to a contributory period. So leave without pay. So participant continues to be employed but is on leave without pay. So you still have a contract with your organization. The difference with leave without pay versus a break-in service, the break-in service, they've issued your separation papers. You're not connected with any organization. However, for leave without pay, you continue to be employed. So however, they issue a PA or a status report for the period of leave without pay. So as per Article 21C, a participant is deemed to have separated when he or she has completed a consecutive period of 3 years on leave without pay without concurrent contributions. That means that if you take leave without pay, the fund has a maximum of 36 months of leave without pay. The moment you exceed the 36 months, you are deemed to be separated. And in order to re-enter the fund, you have to qualify again as per Article 21A. And in order to qualify, that means you have to have a contract of 6 months or more, or 6 months continuous without a break-in service of more than 30 days. Article 25B, such contributions shall be payable concurrently with such leave by the participant in full or by the organization in full or in part of the participant and in part by the organization. That only means that the difference between a break-in service and a special leave without pay, as I've said earlier, break-in service, no matter what, you cannot make it contributory. So because you're not connected with anyone and you're not working during that period. However, for a leave without pay, you continue to be employed. However, you're not receiving salaries. So, however, there is a way for you to continue your participation in the fund and make this contributory if those leave without pay, you concurrently arrange to pay for that leave without pay. You pay for your share and the organization's share. So here, so leave without pay. So you can it's possible that you keep contributoring into the fund. What is the benefit of contributoring for your leave without pay? So the benefit is your CS continues to increase as if you were not in any type of break or leave without pay. So CS will continue to accumulate over the period of the special leave without pay once you pay for it concurrently. So participant pays his share, as I've said earlier, and you have to pay also the contribution of your organization. So a total of 23.7% must be paid concurrently. So what is the negative aspect of paying special leave without pay? If in case you intend to withdraw your benefit and not take a retirement benefit, you can only withdraw your share, which is your contribution plus the interest. You cannot withdraw the share that you're paying for the employee, the employment organization, for the organization. So you can only withdraw your share, but not the organization share. So the question here is, where does the organization share go? So every time the 7.9% goes towards your contribution, the organization share is actually put into a common pot or a common fund that funds the retirement benefits. So that 15.8%, you're not going to get that. It goes to that common pot that funds our retirement benefit. That's why we are called a defined benefit plan. So 36 months, as I've said, is the maximum period of special leave without pay with no contribution. The moment it exceeds the 36 months, you are considered to be separated. So here, what is the main difference between a break-in service and special leave without pay? As I've said earlier, with break-in service, you're not connected with any organization. Notification has been issued, a SEPA has been issued, you're not under any organization's payroll. For special leave without pay, you continue to be an employee, but you're just not receiving any salary. So basically, they issue a PA for your special leave without pay. For break-in service, no matter how hard you try or no matter if you keep on writing to the fund, the break-in service cannot be made contributory. So the break-in service, you did not work, so you are not allowed to pay contribution for that period. However, for special leave without pay, you can pay contribution for the special leave without pay as long as it is paid concurrently, and you have to make this arrangement prior to taking the leave without pay. So part-time. So this is a very, very common scenario for our members in the fund. So for part-time, we have what we call supplementary Article A that states that shall apply equally to members of each organization whose employment is for at least 50% of full-time staff members, defined as half of the normal weekly working hours at duty station and which employment takes place. In short, we only acknowledge members who have at least 50% part-time status. Anyone who is below 50% is not considered, will not be considered for membership in the fund. So aside from the Article 21, which is the 6 months, 6 months or longer contract, or 6 months without a break-in service of more than 30 days, we looked at the part-time status. Is the part-time status 50% or more, or is it less? The moment it is less, you are not considered for entry into the fund. So 50% part-time is the minimum requirement to become or remain a fund participant. In determining eligibility or the vesting period, the actual years, months, and days comprised therein will be used by the fund. So for part-time, don't confuse this with the half-pay status. So some organizations have what we call half special leave without pay. Half special leave without pay is not the same as part-time. In every half-pay status, you have to pay full contribution. Full contribution for the staff member, full contribution for the organization. When we say part-time, this is a percentage. So this can be 50%, 60, 70, 80. The common ones that we see in the fund is 50 and 80. So this is what we call part-time percentage. So just to show you, just to illustrate, so here, so a participant has a contract from 01/01/2012 to 31/12/2016. So this is a 5-year contract. And then the participant was at 50% status the whole time. So how do we view it in the fund? So in terms of your calendar contributory service, you have 5 years with us. So that means you are vested into the fund, right? Because it takes 5 years vesting period. It takes 5 years to be vested in the fund. So, so this is what we call the vesting period. However, this part is what we call net actual contributory service. So the net actual contributory service is 2.5 years. So in here, so what will happen is because you are on part-time of 50%, the net actual contributory service is 2.5 years. So this will be the one that you will use when we're calculating your benefit. So in terms of vesting, you're vested because this is 5 years at 50%. But in terms of calculating your benefit, we use the net actual contributory service, which is 2.5 years. So I will stop here for now to look at all the questions. So here, so we have a question from Frederick. What is the article rule telling that half-pay status shall be pay full contribution? Frederick, I will forward to you the article and the rule to show you the half-pay status. I don't have it in my slide right now, but I will forward it to you. And I'll forward it to everybody. Actually, we're going to build an FAQ after this, and then I'll send it over. There should be an admin UN instruction or circular for this. Half-pay status only affects gross, net, and staff assessment. So Norani, we will provide you with the article in terms of the fund, in terms of paying full status. So we will include that in the FAQ. So we'll provide that. Any more questions before we proceed? Okay, so Alyaman?
Yeah, sorry, I just wanted to raise probably a small debate on slide 21, where we insisted that we need the statuses of staff member to be reported. And some organizations do not recognize multiple marriages, and yet we need for them to find way to submit us those statuses. So if, for example, they don't recognize polygamy, yet the pension fund recognize polygamy, and then they need to find a way to be issuing either a note or a statement to relay us multiple marriages. And also, when we look at the non-traditional unions, some organizations do not recognize some of the non-traditional union, yet they need to transmit to us those statuses. So I just wanted to hear from the HR professionals and staff whether they think that they will run into issue or there will be any difficulty in them transmitting to the fund a status that they do not recognize.
Okay, so we shall proceed. Okay, so transfer to another reporting entity. Before I start, I don't want people to be confused between transfer in and transfer to another reporting entity. So transfer to another reporting entity is transferring from one member organization to another member organization. So transfer is moving from one reporting entity to another. So for example, I am under UN. My reporting entity is 1001, and then I transfer to UNICEF, my reporting entity becomes 1004. The contributions will also shift from my old organization to my new organization. So whoever is paying for my contribution, the reporting entity changes based on the date of entry into the new organization. So the part account remains the same provided that during this transfer process, nothing was paid out. If nothing was paid out, the transfer will be seamless for the participant. We simply transfer from one organization to the other. Part account remains the same, and contribution will continue to accumulate under the same part account. The transfer is usually triggered upon receipt of any separation document, separation notification, separation PA from the current organization, and a reappointment PA from the new organization. So participant continues under the same number. As I've said, the UID, you have one in your entire lifetime. However, your part account is the only one that can increase depending if payment is made or the part account has been closed. So participant continues under the same number in this scenario as long as no benefit has been paid and the transfer conforms with Article 21 in terms of the break-in service and eligibility and new contract with the new organization. So here are some eligibility scenarios. So the staff commences employment under an appointment for 6 months or longer. So in this example, you have 6 months or more contract from 01/01/2017 to 30/06/2017. So you have January, February, March, April, May, June. So this is a 6-month contract. So as per Article 21, the staff member's BCS date and date of entry is as of day 1 of the contract. So as of day 1 of this 6-month contract, a participant becomes eligible to enter the fund. So scenario 2, staff accepts an appointment for 6 months or longer while in employment. So for example, your first contract is 3 months. So that's January 2017 to March 31, 2017. With this 3-month contract, you are not eligible to enter the fund because Article 21 states 6 months continuous without a break-in service of 30 days. However, during the process of your employment, you receive a 6-month contract. So 3 months, 6 months. So as I've said, Article 21, whichever comes first. So in this case, the first day of the 6-month contract comes first. So the first day of the 6-month contract is 01/04/2017. That becomes your first day of paying contribution into the fund. So that is what we call BCS date. So pension fund participation for this contract starts 01/04/2017. Participants' BCS date is 01/04/2017. Date of entry is 01/04/2017. So this 3-month contract is not your BCS or not your date of entry. However, this 3-month contract you may validate, and then once this period is validated, your date of entry remains the same, but your BCS date will be adjusted as of 01/01/2017. So I see a question. Let me just... Dear Georgina Alyaman, I presume you will share the presentation with us later. Yes, Sashan, we will. So basically, staff accepts. So this should be clear. So it's going to be, this scenario will simply be the first day of the 6-month contract. So staff completes in the same or several member organizations 6 months of service without an interruption of more than 30 days. So this go. So here you have a 3-month contract. from January 2017 to 31 March 2017. However, there is a 20-day break. Again, as per Article 21, remember the 30-day break. So this one is 20 days. So here, you have another 4-month contract from April 21 to August 20, 2017. So technically, this is a 4-month contract, not a 6-month contract. You have a 3-month here, and this is less than 30 days. So how do we start counting? First, you start counting from January 1, 2017. So you have January, February, March, April, May, June, July 1. July 1 would have been the 6 months contract. However, because there's a 20-day break in service, you will have to add the 20 days to July 1. So what will happen in this scenario is you have your July 1, what would have been your BCS if there was no break. However, in this case, there is a break of less than 30 days, and that's 20 days. You simply add it. 20 plus July 1 is July 21. So the BCS date and the date of entry in this case will become July 21, 2017. So again, the key here is the 20-day break, because if this was more than 30 days, you would have to, this will be ignored. This will actually stop the clock, and you will have to restart the clock counting from this period. But in this scenario, this is 20-day break in service, which is less than 30 days. You simply add your break to what would have been the first day of the contract. So here, part-time scenario, staff receives part-time contract of less than 50% while in employment. So you have a participant, and the participant's part-time status is 40%. Yes, the contract is 6 months. Yes, the contract is in accordance to Article 21. However, the part-time status is not under Supplementary Article A. So here, you have 6 months or more contract, which is July 1, 2017 to December 31, 2017, part-time percentage of 100%. So in this scenario, the pension fund participation starts from the first day of this new 6-month contract, because this period is less than the 50% allowed in terms of our Supplementary Article A. Okay, so here our BCS date and date of entry will be July 1, 2017. If there is one or more break-in service with break-in service of more than 30 days, so this is usually the more challenging part for HR staff or people working on pension, would be when there is a combination of various breaks in between contracts. So your first contract is 3 months, from January 1, 2017 to March 31, 2017. And then you have a 31-day break. So once you have a break of more than 30 days, your calendar clock goes back to 0. So which means this will be ignored in terms of counting for the 6 months. We go to the next contract. You have a 4-month contract here. Again, this is not a 6-month contract. You will not be eligible simply based on this second contract. However, you have a break of 15 days, which is less than 30 days as per Article 21, and you have another contract of 3 months. So in this scenario, what will happen is this whole thing of 3 months you will not consider because there was a break of more than 30 days. However, we start counting from July 1, 2017. So that's July, August, September, October, November, December. January 1 would have been the BCS date if there was no break. But again, there is a 15-day break. So January 1 plus 15 days it will become January 16, 2018. So the BCS date and the date of entry for this type of contract will be January 16, 2018. So in this slide, the key things that you have to take note of. First contract, 3 months, not eligible as per Article 21. The break is more than 30 days. Therefore, this period will not be considered at all. The calendar clock restarts. You have a contract here of 4 months. Again, not eligible as per Article 21 because this is less than 6 months. However, the break-in service is less than 30 days. So in this case, the break-in service is only 15 days. And then it is followed by a 3-month contract. You start counting from July 1, 2017, 6 months, then you simply add the break-in service that is less than 30 days. Okay. So HR interface. So for HR interface, so wait, I think there is a question. Let me just address the question. So 3 months contract extended for 3 months only, no break-in service, then SM separate. What is the BCS date? So Zoya, in that case, participant is not eligible to be the fund because it should be the day following that 3 months, 3 months. So if you have a contract of January, February, March, and then April, May, June, it should be, so if you start for, let's say January 1, January, February, March, April, May, June, it should be July 1. However, if you end June 30, that is not going to be part of the fund. So it has to be July 1. Okay. So in terms of the HR interface, so a lot of the organizations that are represented today have HR interfaces. So how does the HR interface works, right? So the HR interface, actually, the organization push data into the fund system. So the organization push the data, and then a search is being processed. The search is being processed in our database to check for whether the record is already existing.
Bye.
So let me just mute. So the search is being done in our database to check whether the participant is already existing or we need to assign a new unique ID. If it does not exist, it checks the logic based on Article 21 again, the eligibility of 6 months without break-in service of 30 days. If the staff is new, a 9-digit UID is assigned and a part account for the participation period. So as I've said, the way the interface works is you push data into our system and not pull data from our system. So your organization will push the data from your system into our common HR database. And then it will simply look at this key elements, the first name, the last name, the date of birth, the index number, and the contract period. That is why it is very important for the organizations to consistently report the first name, the last name, the date of birth, the index number. The reason is if there is inconsistencies in reporting, this may result in duplicate UIDs, and this will result in delays later on once we start to process the benefit of the participant. When there are duplicate UIDs, a participant may have 2 UIDs. One UID may be housing previous participation and another UID housing the other contributory period. When they run their estimates, the participants will say, how come I only have 4 years when I've done 10 years? And then on top of that, when they see their annual statements, they will see that there are differences in the annual statements than what they actually worked or contributed. So this is very important that we consistently report the first name, the last name, the date of birth, the index number, so that we avoid creating duplicate UIDs, because these are all automatically generated by our interface, by our system. The data is used to look at the pension fund database, and this will conform to the Article 21 logic. So there is a question, then how does HR interface manage married women taking the husband's last name? So Frederick, what will happen here is there will be a, let's say, a marital status change for example, the wife, and the wife will have marital status change. It will trigger an HR data feed workflow to us because of the discrepancy in the last name. And then this will be reviewed by a calculator, and this will be updated. So any changes or any difference in terms of the first name, the last name, the date of birth, this will automatically be detected by the system, and an HR data feed workflow be open to the PES pension entitlement section for review and updating. Okay. So to go back, so here, determining entry, re-entry, or transfer to the fund. So first, is the staff new or existing, right? So the moment the interface detects the record, it will first search, do the logic search. It will check, is this a new staff or this is existing? So the moment it is a new staff, it will do the regular check. It will check the first name, the last name, the DOB. It does not exist. It creates a new unique ID, which is a 9-digit UID. It will be assigned to a participant, and a new pension number, which we also call part account, is created and assigned for the employment period. So if the staff member is existing, the participation status is verified. If it is existing, and if the participation is active, a new employment line is added under the same pension number, meaning when we say active, the participant has not been separated or hasn't been paid out yet. So it will simply check first logic, and then it will add a new header in our system to add the new period of participation. Let me just read this. There's a question, does the interface deal with the total number of working day paid to certain staff upon transfer to another organization? Does the interface deal with the total number of working days certain staff upon transfer? I'm sorry, but I'm not too clear, Hala. Could you expand the question further? So I'll get to that later. So here, if the participation has been paid out, meaning it has been paid out, and there's a break of 36 months, a new pension number is assigned under the same UID. So, but basically what happened here is the system is smart enough to detect whether a part account needs to be added, a new part account needs to be added. So there are 3 usual scenarios that we look at. Number 1 is the participation new, totally new. So the part account is totally new. Participant has never been into the fund. We add a new part account. So, however, if there is a previous part account and the previous part account has been paid out, so the new participation, as long as it complies with Article 21, a new part account is added. So the third one is, as I've said, Article 21 states that the person cannot have more than 36-month break in service. So if a participant has more than 36-month break in service, a new pension number has to be added as well. So these are the 3 common scenarios why a new part account is needed. So number 1 would be if the previous part account has been paid out, that part account closes. The moment it's paid out, it's closed, and any new re-entry will have a new part account. And then in terms of 36-month break in service, even if the previous part account is still remains active or inactive, meaning it hasn't been paid out, but the break in service is more than 36 months, we will assign a new number. And then we will assess whether the first number can still be restored and combined with the second part account as long as it complies with Article 24. So here, monitoring and verification and reporting. So you and IT and HR should have access to their common HR database to view interface results and errors. So you will be able to see in your interface if you have any errors or the status of the data that you've pushed in the system. So all organizations will also have access to the employer self-service to allow to run the new entries report. So we will actually have a tools training on December 10, I believe, on ESS from our subject matter experts. So we will expand on that in that training series. So issues can be resolved jointly by HR, UNJSPF, CS, and PES. So meaning, if you encounter any issues in your interface, simply report it to us. We will look into it, we will investigate, and we will see how to resolve it. So you have UNJSPF CS and you have PES to assist you as we regularize the records of the participants. So here, so now I want to actually engage everyone in the training to work with me in this activity. So today's activity will be on eligibility. So I want to see if anyone is willing to give this a try. So anyone willing? If not, I will just call names. Okay, so I will just call names. Again, this is just an interactive training, so it's all right to ask questions, make mistakes, and all that. So, Frederick, could you help me out on this one?
Okay, let me try.
I think Françoise raised her hand.
Oh, I didn't
sorry.
see it. Sorry. I'll call
Françoise?
Frederick.
Yes, I can try if you want.
Yes, please.
I saw your hand raised, that's why.
Thank you, Aliaman.
Oh, you have a question.
So what is the beginning contributory service date? Initial contract 1st January 2016, 20 February 2000, reappointment contract 1st March, février, mars. I would say 1st January 2016.
Okay, so here, your initial contract is January, February, right? So,
yeah.
And then a reappointment as of March 1, 2016. So technically, if we count, this is less than 6 months, right? And then this one would be only March, April, May, June, July. This is only like 4.5 months. So if we count from January 2016, you have January, February, March, April, May, June, July 1. However, I see everyone's answer is July 1, 2016. However,
no, my answer would be 2nd of July.
However,
my answer would be 2nd of July.
Correct. So because 2016 is a leap year, so 2016 is a leap year, there is a 1-day break in this scenario. So in there's the 1-day break. So you simply add 1 day to July 1. So that becomes July 2, 2016. So even leap year, we look at it. So here there is a break of 1 day. You add it to July 1, 2016 to get the answer of July 2, 2016. Okay, so I hope that's clear. So question 2, can I take Frederick on this one? Frederick?
Frederick is going to try. So we have the first contract. So I didn't know this thing about leap year. Hopefully our payroll is programmed like that. I need to check. So this is more straightforward. So continuous from January to February. And then a BIS, if I'm not mistaken, in March and April.
Correct.
And then we appointed May, June, July for 2.5 months. So we are reaching 4.5 months. And then a third bit third bit for oh, but no, it's easy. The third bit is very long, so it's 16 July 16, I would say.
Correct. So basically what happened here is, for everyone's knowledge, the first contract is January, February. So that's 2 months, right? So however, there was a break for the full month of March and the full month of April. As per Article 21, the break should not be more than 30 days. So the moment it is more than 30 days, the clock stops and restarts. So this period will be technically ignored when we start recounting. So May to July is simply May, June, 2.5 months. It's not a 6-month contract. However, the contract extension is more than 6 months. So therefore, as per Article 21, 6 months contract, 6 months continuous with a break in service of 30 days, whichever comes first. So July 16, 2016 came first instead of me counting May, June, July, August, September, October, November 1. So here, July 16, 2016 is the BCS date. Okay, I see you, Miss City. This is for you, Miss City. Miss City?
Francoise, you still have your hand raised.
Okay.
Can you please lower your hand?
Oh, okay.
I am here. Sorry.
Your hand is showing as raised.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
You click on the hand to put it down.
You still see my hand? No.
Yeah.
Yes.
And now?
Down already. Okay, let me call somebody. Enza, I just met you yesterday. Enza.
Hi there, Maria.
Hi, you want to give us a try?
Sure. Okay. The initial contracts 1 January 2016 to 30 June 2016, but it was part-time employment. I see the contract extensions from 1 July 2016 to 30 June 2017, so more than 6 months. So I would say beginning of the contract, beginning of a contributory service in the pension fund is 1 July 2016.
So that is correct. But the key thing here that for everyone to note is the part-time percentage. So here, this is January, February, March, April, May, June. Technically, this is a 6-month contract. However, because of the part-time percentage of 40, this will not allow the participant to enter the fund. However, the new contract, which is a 1-year contract, is at 100%. Enza is correct. The start of the BCS date is July 1, 2016. And the article in the funds regulation to support this is supplementary Article A, participant whose employment is for at least 50% of full-time staff member status. So what is the BCS date for this one? Any volunteers before I call names? Rebecca, do you want to give it a try? Rebecca Morris.
Hi. Okay.
Hi, Rebecca.
1st of January. June. So it'd be 2nd of January.
So here, Rebecca, so when we count, we start counting from the initial contract, right? So January 1, 2016, January, February, March, April, May, June. So 6 months, right? So the Article 21, a person is eligible to be in the fund with a 6-month contract. So the moment that the participant has a 6-month contract, they are eligible from day 1. So in this case, instead of January 2, it will be January 1, 2016.
Oh, yeah.
So is that clear?
Yeah, it is.
So, but basically here from day one, the participant is eligible to be in the fund because this is a 6-month contract. So again, as I've said, what I promised during the courtesy calls, we will keep it short in every session, but we will make sure that we will engage with everybody. Here for participation part 2, which is going to go on next Tuesday, we will be discussing the documents needed as you enter the fund, the employee demographics, part account, pension number, separation and reaffiliation, breaks in service, and its effect on the NRA. So I actually now open the floor to everyone for questions. Any questions? Can we keep the questions within the topic today, Alyaman?
Yes, I wanted also to open a discussion with respect to the interface in how we can reduce the number of duplicate UID. And one of these reasons is that a lot of us, when we hiring somebody, we forget to ask them whether they were in the system before, where do they come from, did they have a pension number before, what was their first name, last name before. So what happens in many cases that the staff member existed in our record under a name, and when they join you, they had changed the name. And once you enroll them under the new name, it creates a duplicate. So I just wanted to remind everyone that in order for smoother enrollment, you need really to ask them the question, where have you been in the system? Do you have a pension number? Do you have a pension statement you can give us? And unfortunately, it might be hard, but if you can, you either enroll them under the previous name, let the interface come and then change it later, or inform the pension fund ahead of time so that we change the name and then you submit with the new name. However, submit a different name than what we have, then if the interface verify first name, last name, date of birth, it will create a duplicate because it will not find that combination. So I know for some of you, it might be difficult, but keep remembering that when we do the hiring, you really need to ask the question whether the staff member has been in the fund before and collect something like their pension number, and also if they have their pension statement with them to be able to see their name, their date of birth that they had with the fund. Any comments on this or any debate we want to open? But this is really, really important. This is a message that we want to pass in order to reduce the number of duplicate UI. You know, out of.
I understand properly, Alyaman, this is Frederick from WHO. If we find a discrepancy, a new last name for a participant transferring from ILO to WHO, for example, we need to inform you manually by email so that you update manually the existing UID. Over.
That's one of the options, but the easiest for us is you enroll them under the same name they had, and then you submit the record. We will accept your new record and make the transfer, and then you can submit the change of name later on. But I heard from some organization that they are obliged to use the name that the staff member has currently, and that's what is creating the situation. If in that case, then yeah, send a proof of name, the proof of the new name by email, and then we'll verify and change the record before you submit the interface.
Yeah, I think it will be very. I think it will be very hard to ask our HR to enroll them with the previous name. So I think we would have to inform you manually, probably. Over.
Yes, if that's possible, please do so, because we want to put all our energy and not create duplicates. So the first thing is for you to see that this would be a potential duplicate because the name has changed. If the name has changed or date of birth is different, any of those major elements is different, then contact us right away, and we'll make the adjustment before you submit the case through the interface. That would be preferable than submitting and creating a duplicate and having all of us try to rewind it.
Thank you.
Aliaman, there was a question in the chat. Someone asked whether the part account can be used for the search field to avoid duplicates. For everyone's knowledge, we have actually the logic from IT. So the first thing they check is whether it's there and it exists. After the unique ID, if it does not exist, it goes to the index number to see and check whether it already exists. If again it's not there, then they go down to the level of the first name, last name, date of birth, and then it goes through a scoring mechanism for us to determine whether we need to create a new unique ID or a new part account, or it's just simply updating an existing record. So that's how, just to clarify that question. Any other question from the group before we end our session? Nothing more? Am I missing somebody? Nothing more? Okay, so again, as I promised, we will keep it short, straight to the point, and we will run this training session for a series of 11 sessions. We will end this year on December 10. We will run 5 sessions until December 10. Then everybody can enjoy their holidays, and then we will resume back first quarter of next year for the remaining sessions. So thank you very, very much for everyone. We had a great attendance today. I think we had over 90 people joining us today. If you have any questions, I think everyone by now has my email address and Wally's email address, and of course my boss, Aliaman. So please feel free to reach out at any time. Thank you very, very much. Have a good day. Good night. Bye.
Thank you. Gracias.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Georgina, for the wonderful presentation.
Thank you, Seshan. Take care. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye,
you very
everyone.
much. Bye-bye. Thank you all.
And Georgina, it was not 90 people. I remember I saw 168, if not more. I remember seeing
Thank
168.
you, Gina. Thank you, Aliman.
That is correct. It went up to
168 or something.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, wonderful. This is fantastic. And also with the short session, the attention span is also taken care of. So it is very nice, focused, and very well received. Thanks, Georgina.
Thank you, Seshan, for the feedback. Appreciate it. So everyone will end the session. I stop the recording, and then we'll end the meeting. Thank you and goodbye, everyone.